This is a video from the last time I went and visited my grandmother before she passed away. I hadn't seen her in nearly 2 years since I'd started my transition, and I went with some family, my dad, my aunt, my littlest cousin, also named Jack.
Drop the dime over there.
I guess it rained and stormed all night last night.
Yeah, I think it did storm last night.
I didn't want to see the whole day through my camera, so I started filming here after we ate lunch, and Jack ran around to burn off some energy. This moment was really great, but the build-up to it had been super anxious. When I came out as trans a few years ago, it was quickly apparent that my family wanted me to hide it from my grandma. And how could I not? She was 90 when I first came out, and struggling to keep up with ordinary conversations, let alone conversations about completely new gender-related complexities. It was actually at her 90th birthday party that, after months of self-reflection and contemplation, I was handed a name tag and told to write granddaughter underneath my birth name. The thought of doing so made me feel sick in ways that I was just starting to put words to. I tucked the name tag into my back pocket and smiled for my grandma like nothing was wrong. She called me a beautiful young lady, like she always did, and I wondered how much it would hurt her to know the way those words caused my mind to tear and shatter. There's a song by the artist Rabel that's about queer identities, and there's a line in it that says, "You can't tell grandma because her heart can't take it and she might not make it." I felt that lyric deeply sitting across from my grandma in the hallway of her nursing home, but I also felt so much joy, like this moment.
Cheese. Look at me. Look at...
What eventually happened was I laid out my options. I could never see her again and wait till she passed to visit my family. I could go and see her and pretend I was still my father's daughter, which is what my family wanted me to do. Or I could go in and be a new person in front of her, just another stranger to her eyes. Time was running thin as she was running out of it, and I decided to go. The hardest part of my transition so far was walking into her room, seeing her recognize my father, and watching her search my face for some recognition to no avail. I was so scared. Scared she'd know who I was and think I'd mutated my body, scared I would confuse her, scared she'd feel betrayed. The nurse beside her innocently said to her, "Look, your son and grandson came to see you." And confusion threaded through the wrinkles on her face. She wasn't able to articulate it, but it became clear after a few moments that she had no idea who I was, which was mostly a relief, but also shattering. A few moments later, when we were sitting at the lunch table and I was helping her eat, she said to me, "I can tell by your face that you're in the family." I just nodded awkwardly, not being able to give her any closure or answers. She later asked my dad about his daughter, and it broke my heart to know she might be wondering why his daughter didn't come. Did she just think she didn't care enough to come say goodbye? We left her place, drove around for a while, and I eventually got the chance to walk up and down the streets I used to get lost in. This is pretty much all I thought about the rest of the trip. I'd never heard any trans people talk about this before. There are friends and family that I haven't been able to keep up a relationship with because they don't agree with my transition, but to lose someone because they couldn't comprehend who I'd become at all, I hadn't prepared for that. I hadn't prepared to lose my relationship with my grandma 2 years before she passed away, nor had I prepared for my family to not understand why I couldn't shave my face, make my voice seem higher, go up to her and lie. I don't blame her at all for her lack of comprehension, not a single bit, but nonetheless, it's still tough. She's gone now. She passed away peacefully in her sleep just a little while ago. I'd like to think her spirit understands, or maybe she knows now that I did care enough to stop by. I always did.